Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another installment of the Mark Deez Word Show podcast. I am your host, Mark Deez, 1/3 of the Grindhouse Gang indie hip-hop supergroup. And this week on the Mark Deez Word Show podcast, we're going to talk a little wrestling. Our guest this week, Billy Ballantine, a.k.a. Billy the Kid. Bill the Hammer Ballantine. We're going to talk a little WWE. We're going to talk about wrestlers we feel like have been buried or, deserve a push. Things of that nature. And before I get into the interview, I'm going to play the original version of No Holds Barred, which is a track by Billy Ballantine with Godzilla and Tone Live. And it's a really cool track, wrestling themed joint. But before I get into it, in the interview segment of the show, one of the wrestlers that we brought up that we said, we feel like deserves a push was a guy named Cassius Ohno, better known to indie fans as Chris Hero. Well, we found out tonight that the WWE has released Chris Hero, Cassius Ohno, from his contract, so he's no longer under contract to WWE. He's a free agent, and I feel like WWE is really dropping the ball with him. I was shocked to see that. Matter of fact, Ballantine is the one who sent me the link saying that, and we were just bigging him up in this interview that you're going to hear shortly, and I just think that's a complete waste of talent. That's a guy that could be a big player in the WWE. So I'd like to know what happened behind the scenes, because I had heard some things that, Hero had an ego or something like that, because he was down in developmental, but I really can't blame him because he's a guy who paid his dues. He deserves to be on TV. If you got Punk and Bryan and Cesaro and all these other guys on TV, then how can you not have Chris Hero? Because to me, he's just as good, if not better, than some of those guys. So, big loss for indie wrestling fans that were hoping that Chris Hero would get into the mix real soon. But it is what it is, man. But to keep it moving, here's No Holds Barred.
So here we go, No Holds Barred.
There's no disqualifications. There are no countouts. Balls count anywhere.
No holds barred. Come on, if you wanna brawl, no holds barred, cause all you're gonna get is your ass kicked, no holds barred. Slam it like I ain't shit.
This is not gonna be a wrestling match. Don't expect a wrestling match. This is gonna be a street fight.
When I rock, the whole industry in a headlock. I put the best to a dead stop. Follow up with an elbow smash or leg drop. I got a click, but I'm not down with X-Pac. Shut down any arena or sweat box. The Guatemalan dreadlock, take your best shot. I'm Big Boss Man, an ultimate warrior. This ain't backyard wrestling, we do it on corners. One-man gang who take your aorta. Bum rushing spots with a bunch of supporters. It's time for the slaughter, the Royal Rumble. Elite wrestling from the top turnbuckle. I take the champion belt, the words start to fumble, while I make sure my hustle doubles. Got Ella Monsoon, I clear the room. We step in the spot like the Legion of Doom.
No holds barred. Come on, if you wanna brawl, no holds barred, cause all you're gonna get is your ass kicked, no holds barred. Slam it like I ain't shit.
Bill the Hammer Ballantine, reign the world champ. Got the fans amped while they not my name they chant. King of the ring, do my thing, leaving foes scarred. Anything goes, this is No Holds Barred. Where the competition at, tell your crew to test. On this mic I call you out like Goldberg, then like who's next? Kick to the midsection, then a suplex. Tombstone pile drive, I'll break this fool's neck. Call the foot the figure four, your leg crushes. I run this, they kick the franchise like Shane Douglas. It's all with a power bomb. We rock greater. My heart punch drop haters, call me Ox Baker. Throw him in the torture rack, snap his back in half. My goons start the demolition axe and smash. Catch you with a cross, station your hands, tap the mat, stand back when the hammer bang back like Cactus Jack.
No holds barred. Come on. If you wanna brawl, no holds barred. No holds barred. Cause all you're gonna get is your ass kicked. No holds barred. Slam it like
Anytime I enter the ring, I bring the pain. Steamroll competition, move out way. Here for the belts, eye on the goal. No love lost, take it to friend or foe. By all means necessary, will be champion. Respect my reign, I'll bring havoc to the building. Off the top ropes, elbow to the throat. Chair shot to the dome, lights out for the show. Apply submission hold until the snapping of bones. Animal untamed, bell ring, lose control. One man wrecking machine, leave my stamp. Every arena knows my name, start a chant. No matter what match I'm in, I'm gon' win. Win against the grain, no pressure, do it again. Action speaks louder than words, so come to the square circle so I can bash your face in.
Alright, that was No Holds Barred, the original version. And right now, we're going to get into the interview segment. Mark Deez, Billy Ballantine, talking a little wrestling, WWE shit. Here we go. On this week's episode of the Mark Deez Word Show, I got the one and only Bill the fucking Hammer Ballantine. And we're going to talk a little wrestling this week. We're going to talk about wrestlers we feel like are kind of being buried or held down, deserve a push in the WWE. So, what's going on with you, man? How you feeling tonight?
Chillin', man. What's good, Deez? It's an honor to be up here, you know what I mean? Let's shoot the shit, man.
Let's do it, brother. I'm glad to have you, man. Glad to have you on the show. Yeah, basically, you know, like I put together a list and shit, you know, that we were talking about, and we just run through these names, man. And if you got any names that you want to go through, shoot the shit about, we can do that. But basically, first guy on my list that I feel like is being held down is Alex Riley, man. We haven't really seen him on TV much since he was like the Miz's lackey, you know. Yeah. And I kind of feel like, you know, he was kind of getting over a little bit, like a couple years ago, and then like he disappeared. So how you feel about Riley? You think Riley deserves a push, or should he stay buried?
I think he should stay buried, man. You know, the dude was getting a push too early in his career, like a lot of these dudes. You know, I don't think he was ready for that. I think he needs to go back to like their training center and shit.
Nah, you're right. Like he was a little green, but I felt like he was decent on the mic. Like, you know how these cats are nowadays, man. The product's so watered down, and they got so many of these fucking like cookie cutter baby faces, man. So they all look alike. But I felt like for a cookie cutter baby face, or you know, if he wanted to be a heel, whatever, he was like a generic dude. But I thought he did pretty good, and like
he did all right. But you could tell, like you said, the dude was a little green to begin. And at that time, he was with Miz, right?
Right, he was with Miz. He was like Miz's.
Miz was in the spotlight at that time.
That's right.
You can't throw in a dude that's like green, somebody in the spotlight. It's gonna fuck the whole angle up, I think.
Yeah, and it kind of did, because like after that whole shit with Miz, like it fizzled out, and then Miz linked up with R-Truth, and that's another dude I want to talk about, because I felt like R-Truth, man. Like if you remember when he had like the whole heel gimmick going on, and he was like paranoid and like smoking cigarettes and shit, and like doing a bunch of crazy shit. I thought
smoking crack. That's what he was doing.
He was smoking the rock. Yo, but like, yo, come on, like, you got to give him props, because now look at him, like, when you see him on TV, he's coming out and he's rapping, and like, it's like people are just giving him like a fucking courtesy reaction, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, here's the thing, R-Truth is an amazing talent, no doubt. You can't deny his skills. That dude should be in the spotlight, I think. He's ready for it. Right. And you know, as well as I know, like, he's been around for years. He was one of those dudes that actually, he paid his dues. You know what I mean?
That's right.
He did. And they just shitting on him for no reason. He's not one of these new guys coming in and they're fucking, you know, and throwing him out there. He should be out there.
Yeah, because he's not he's not a new cat, man. Like R-Truth, he was around at the tail end of the Attitude Era. He was K-Quick, and then he had that good run in TNA where he was Ron the Truth Killing. So like
he held the belt, I believe. He had the NWA belt. No?
He did for like a long time. Like he was TNA's like premier dude, man.
That's a big accolade to hold the well, I don't know about nowadays, but this is back in the day to hold the NWA title. That's big, right there,
Yeah, because the NWA title, that's like the most at the time. Like, well, not even at that time, but previous times, the NWA belt was like the number one belt you could hold. And now, it's been shitted on. Really, it's been shitted on ever since 97. If you remember the NWA like invasion angle with Cornette and like Midnight Express, and Dan Severn had the belt, and it was horrible. Like they brought him in for like 2 weeks, and they were like, Severn's the NWA champ, and it made no sense. The angle went nowhere, and that killed the belt. It was already dead, but they killed it even more. And like now, I know TNA is not with the NWA anymore or whatever, but I don't even know who the NWA champion is. Do you know?
I think the NWA, the promotion they're running with right now is in Jersey, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know who the champion is, but I'm pretty sure they run shows in Jersey. So it's not saying much for them if nobody hears about them,
Right, and like the last guy I remember that I heard was the NWA champion was some dude. I think it was Adam Pearce or something. Was it Adam Pearce?
That's what I heard. I think he might still be the champion. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so like the NWA is dead. Like it's done. So
it's dead. I mean, how do you feel about that world belt? Does that run the same lineage back to the NWA title or not?
Well, I think they try to put it back to that lineage because like obviously it was the NWA belt, then it was the WCW belt, so it's the big gold belt. So I guess it carries the same lineage, but to me, the gold belt now is like what the Intercontinental belt was in the Attitude Era. It's like a mid-card belt, basically. Yeah. So, it like lost its prestige, but I guess it holds the same lineage. Would you agree with that?
I agree with that. It don't seem like they mention it. Like I think they don't mention it at like the way they should.
Nah, like I think I've heard them say like maybe like JBL or somebody.
Yeah. That's the only dude who mentions past wrestlers and things,
Yeah, because he might have been like, Luthez held this belt in 1957 or whatever, like he might bring it up. But other than that, like they don't bring up the past lineage. But I do know that they put out a DVD like a couple years ago. I actually had this DVD. It's like the history of the World Heavyweight Championship. So it goes from like the NWA to WCW to the current like champs, but I just feel like it's watered down. It's a mid-card belt, and they should unify the titles. Like me and you were talking about that anyway.
Yeah, I think they have to. That's why they put that belt on Cena, I think.
Yeah, definitely, because they're leading up to it. They're gonna, I think WrestleMania, like me and you were saying before the show, is gonna probably be Orton versus Cena to unify the two titles, because it just makes the most sense, man. Because like you said, nobody watches SmackDown. Like it's taped, it's in the can. Like nobody watches it. So what's the point? I don't
know who the roster is with SmackDown right now. I couldn't tell you.
Okay, that's another good question I got for you. You remember they did the brand extension, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so like, is the brand extension gone? Is it like gone?
I think it's still relevant. I think they have SmackDown has its own wrestlers and so does Raw.
But what I'm saying is like people from both brands are on both shows. Like you remember back in like the mid 2000s, they would have like the like Survivor Series matches or whatever, where it'd be like Team Raw versus Team SmackDown or whatever, and they don't even do that anymore. So
no, they don't. That's what I'm saying. They should just unify and let it be,
Yeah, because like when they did the brand extension, it was because it was after they bought WCW, 10 plus years ago, and that was when they had like an inflated roster. They had so much talent, so they needed a brand extension. Now they don't need it because they don't have the fucking talent. Like, just not enough people. Right. But to continue going on about wrestlers that maybe deserve a push or don't. How do you feel about Evan Bourne?
Evan Bourne, that dude, that's Matt Sydal, right?
Matt Sydal, yep.
That's another dude. I feel like he paid his dues. Maybe not as so many years as an R-Truth, but he's a good talent. He might be a risk. You know how these guys are. They don't want you to jump. You know, apparently they don't want their talent jumping off the top rope and shit like that.
Right.
But I don't know what happened to that dude. Like, he was there 1 minute, next day he's gone. I don't even know. I didn't read any stories of why he got buried. I don't know if you have any info on that or not. Well,
from what I've read, like I'm not sure if it was an injury that happened to him or if he failed like a wellness test. I think him and R-Truth like failed wellness tests for weed or for spice or something.
Wow. That's wow.
So yeah, I think that's what happened to him. But
is he on the contract still? Is he around?
He's still on the roster, so that's why I put him. That's why I put him on the list, because he's definitely still on the roster. Like when I was compiling this, I went to WWE.com. I clicked on the superstars list, and I just went through it. So he was still on there. So obviously, you know, he wouldn't be on there if he wasn't under contract.
True.
And another guy, like I don't know if you've ever seen this website. There's a website out there that's like, how many days has JTG been employed? You know,
another dude. Yeah, I can't believe he's still on their payroll.
Man, it's almost like every year, because, you know, they do the spring cleaning and whatnot where they, like, let talent go. It's almost like Vince doesn't even realize that he's getting paid or something. Like, he's like the dude from Office Space. They fired him years ago, and he just keeps fucking showing up to the shows or something. Like, so... Like, I don't know, man. Like, back in the day, I thought Crime Time had, like, a fucking, like, great little gimmick, and I thought they were going to make noise, man. But really, I thought Shad Gaspard or whatever was, like, the money for that group. And then, like, they fired him and kept JTG.
Well, I think they were good for the tag team division. I don't know about as far as breakout single stars, but definitely a tag team, yeah, they were good. You know, I think they needed that.
Yeah, definitely, and that's another thing that I feel like WWE's lacking is a good tag division. And so, speaking of tag teams, you know, we got Titus O'Neil, you got Darren Young, aka the Black John Cena. Well, how you feel about the Primetime Players as a tag team and possibly as singles wrestlers? How you feel about them?
As far as singles wrestlers, no. I can't see those dudes getting over singly, but tag team, yeah. I mean, when they come out, the crowd pops. They do that little dance that they do, you know. And they're good. I think they have good chemistry together. I think they're good.
Yeah, they do. Do you remember who was the guy that was their manager that got fired for the Kobe Bryant?
Yeah, the dude with the whistle, right? I forgot his name.
Well, I forgot his name too, man. I can't.
Coach? I want to say the coach, but I think that would have been so overdone.
Nah, it wasn't Coachman. It was what the fuck was that dude's name? I almost want to say Percy Jackson or some shit like that, but that's a fucking Disney movie.
The dude from isn't that Titus O'Neil's old name in like NXT or something?
It could be. I don't remember. The first time I saw Titus was like before Primetime Players came on, and like I saw him in a dark match. I was like, who the fuck is this dude? Like I didn't even know him from NXT. So, but speaking of Titus, man, to me, like, I think Titus has potential to be like a breakout star. Like, obviously, you don't share that same sentiment,
no.
But
here's the thing. If it was to come down to them breaking up, I think Titus would be the one they're going to push.
Right, because I think Titus is good on the mic, and he's all right in the ring. I just think, like, you know, they don't push too many like black wrestlers as singles guys. Like, you got Mark Henry and, you know, The Rock, and like that's pretty much it. Like Farouk, like, you know. You can't really think of anybody else that was like a great black wrestler from the 90s or from this current era other than those guys. So, like, I think...
Yeah, I mean, they push Booker T.
Oh, yeah, Booker T. I forgot. Yeah, Booker T, of course. He's, you know, one of the greatest of all time. But, like, I don't know, man. I just think, like, you know, you got a lot of black dudes that watch wrestling. So why wouldn't you want to give them somebody to root for? Like, that's how I feel, man. Because, you know, there's a lot of race in wrestling anyway. Like, everybody does the stereotypical gimmick. So I think Titus could be a dude that like could get over like that. I mean, like you said, Primetime Players are over as a tag team, but it's like they keep getting pushed up under the rug too, man, because 1 minute they're getting pushed, the next week they're getting buried. So I don't know, man. The tag division is like dead. But
well, what about what's his names? The Primo and Epico.
Yeah. Primo and Epico. Well, aren't they Los Matador?
Matadors, yeah.
Yeah, so they took them off TV for like 3 months, put them in some fucking Matador gear, and then like expecting people not to recognize that was them. Like, You know, like I recognize them and like
older than them.
And then like the dude that's getting over in that group is the little midget dude, El Torito or whatever.
Torito. Yeah, he's popping the crowd. That dude.
Yeah, so like the midget mascot is like the most over dude in that group because Primo and Epico like isn't one of them like one of the Colognes, like Carlito's brother or something?
Yeah, Carlito's brother. I think they're cousins. Aren't they cousins? Right there, them two, Primo and Epico. I think they're cousins. So.
Yeah, I think they are. So like, you know, one of them like they come from the Cologne family, so that's like a prestigious wrestling family. I don't know, man. Like they I've never really got into them, man. Like the most I've liked them was with El Torito. So
yeah.
But another dude I want to talk about is he's another high flyer that like I guess is like relegated to SmackDown, and we don't fucking watch SmackDown, so we probably never see him. Justin Gabriel, he was in the Nexus and all that. How you feel about Gabriel?
I can't speak on him that much. I mean, anytime I seen him, he was good in the ring, but like you said, we don't watch SmackDown, so I don't know.
Yeah, like I think his problem, he's got the same problem that Evan Bourne has, man, because like he's a high flyer and they don't want, you know, the high flying guys to really shine. I don't know, but he has like no mic skills, he has no personality, but in the ring he's good, so I figure like he's worthy of being on TV at least just for his in-ring ability. So
I agree on that, no doubt. And you know what? No, it's funny. Last time I did see him, I was going through the channels on a Saturday morning, and that Saturday morning show came on. He was on there.
Saturday Morning Slam, right?
Slam, yeah, yep. He was on there. So that's I guess that's what they're doing with him now. He's like a B-rated dude. So
yeah, man. Another dude I want to talk about, like I was telling you earlier. William Regal, he's on NXT as an announcer. Do you feel like Regal should be on TV, at least wrestling? I mean,
honestly, I think the dude is to that age. He might not want to look that. You know, and let's face it. Back in the day, Regal was a good technical wrestler. He was slept on. He was overlooked. But I think he's to that age where he might be able to put on a decent performance, and he might not be able to. So maybe that's what he wants to do. He might want to play his position at the table.
Right.
I mean, that might be the best thing for him, I think.
Well, see, I always felt like Regal, like you said, he was underutilized. Like, Regal could have got a title run at one point, like, especially when, you know, you had Cena and Orton, like, just switching out the titles every couple of months in, like, the mid-2000s. Like, Regal was a dude they could have put the belt on, at least for, like, a transitional champion. I'm not saying, you know, he would have been a big draw or anything, but as a technical wrestler, he's one of the best I've ever seen. And, like, I saw him on Raw maybe a year or two ago. He was going up against Daniel Bryan. And, like, people say that, like, Shawn Michaels trained Daniel Bryan. But what I heard is that William Regal really trained him. And, like, I could tell from the way that they wrestled in the ring, they had really good chemistry. So I would like to see Regal again, man. Like, you don't ever get to see him.
Yeah, I think he could pull off a couple, you know, a decent run if he wanted to. But,
right.
You know, like you said, maybe he feels more comfortable, like, you know, behind the mic right now. Who knows?
Yeah, there's no telling. So how you feel about Zack Ryder, Mr. fucking woo? How you feel about him?
You know what, man? First off, they gave that guy, I don't know if it was them who put him in the spotlight or it was the fans, because it's so fucking stupid, some of them. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's the gimmick, man. Let's face it. That dude, is he? I don't know. How do you feel he is in the ring? I don't see nothing special in him.
I see absolutely nothing special with him in the ring, but I feel like his gimmick is fucking great. Like, I thought that, like, he was getting over, man, and he was so over, and he wasn't even on TV. Like, know, people were.
Props. He went the other route. He did go out and, you know, he went out and did his thing on the internet, which got him over with the fans. I'll give him credit on that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think he should have done a little more ring training. He's boring now.
Nah, he is, man. I always thought his finishing moves sucked, the Rough Rider or whatever. Like, yeah, like.
And you know what? I do feel bad though. Every time I see him on Raw, he's losing. I'm like, this dude, you know, just give it up, bro.
Yeah, man. Like he's a straight up jobber. Like, and he's not even like respectable Barry Horowitz level jobber. Like, he's just like enhancement talent, local guy.
He's an enhancement talent with a decent gimmick. Oh, what was a decent gimmick? Like,
right.
You know?
Yeah, because they basically killed his buzz, man. Because his push, like, from the fans' perspective, is gone. And I don't think McMahon will ever push him. And, like, I feel like McMahon went with dudes like Fandango over him. Speaking of him, how you feel about Fandango?
He's he's another dude, man. He came out of nowhere. I mean, what the fuck, the dude? Didn't he debut? He debuted at WrestleMania 1, no?
I believe. I don't know if he debuted at WrestleMania. That might have been his first match.
It's his first match in the WWE. All right, so his first match with WWE was at WrestleMania. And
right.
He beat Chris Jericho, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That's right. Like, that was, obviously, that's his first televised match, because I saw him live in a dark match. Well, it was a house show on SmackDown. So I saw him, like, maybe 2 months before he came on the TV and they started running vignettes on him. So, like, when I saw him, I fucking hated that guy's guts. I was like...
No doubt. Like, when I see him coming out, doing the vignettes, I did not like to do it. You know, and I don't like him still to this day. I don't like his gimmick, but let's face it, man, you put somebody in the spotlight like that, you're going to let them debut, you know, with your company at WrestleMania and beat Chris Jericho, if I'm not mistaken. You know what? Let's imagine back in the day they did that with somebody. That dude would have been huge right now.
Yeah, he would have been instantly over, and, like, it's funny.
And he's doing mixed tag team matches on Raw.
Yeah, man, and, like, that's the thing. Like, for, like, 2 weeks, like, his theme song, like, people were chanting it and shit, and, like, so I was like, wow, his theme song is more over than him. So, like, I don't know, man. Like, honestly, I think he's, like, a good promo dude, though, but, he can't really show it because he has such a shitty gimmick. I think it's one of those gimmicks that, like, Vince McMahon and Pat Patterson, like, came up with. You know what I'm saying? And, like...
Do you think if he dropped the gimmick, he would be over?
I think, man, look, to me, that dude is, like, mad creepy. Like, I think if this were the Attitude Era and you gave him a gimmick, like, if you remember the gimmick that they ruined Dallas Page with when they brought him in as, like, the Stalker.
Yeah.
If they gave Fandango a gimmick like that, he would be on point with it because he's, like, really creepy, man. That dude, like, I don't know, he's like a sexual predator or something, man. Like, that's how I look at him. Like, the way he talks and shit. So I feel like if you gave him, like, an edgy gimmick like that, he would get over, like, maybe as a heel. And I think, like, you never know, man. People might cheer him, but I think that Fandango gimmick is something that Vince McMahon and Pat Patterson came up with just for, like, their own entertainment, you know?
Yeah,
like,
no doubt. You can tell. Yeah, you can tell. Like I said, come on, back in the day, if you were to throw somebody in at WrestleMania and have them win, that's huge right there.
Yeah, especially over Jericho. I mean, you know, you're a made man. If you beat Jericho at Mania, you should be a made man. And like you said, he's tagging.
And that's a lot for Jericho for putting him over.
Right. Yeah, and that's just Jericho being the professional that he is, man. Like, you know, he's always been, you know, ready to put people over, as opposed to somebody like Triple H who, like, buries everyone. So speaking of other wrestlers that are buried, this guy to me has been buried beyond belief. Drew McIntyre, he's in fucking 3MB with Heath Slater and Jinder Mahal. They're not going anywhere fast. To me, that's the worst gimmick on TV. Like,
that's bad news, that gimmick, man. I fast forward and come on, they're horrible, dude.
And see, that's the thing. Like, when I see Drew McIntyre, I look at that dude and I say, man, he's got a good physique, he's got a good build. He reminds me of, like, Triple H in his prime or something, like, but
comparable.
But he doesn't. I don't know if he just doesn't have the promo skills or he doesn't have the charisma or what. But I feel like he's a dude that's kind of underutilized, and they're ruining him. Like, he could be a major player if used right. Not saying like he'd be a top guy, but mid card.
They didn't give him that push. If you remember, it was 2 years ago. They were giving him a big push. Remember?
Right, I do remember it. And then, like, they just stopped it, and then they threw him in 3MB and totally killed him, made him like a comedy joke.
Yeah.
With Slater and Jinder Mahal. And Jinder Mahal was another guy that they were kind of pushing as like a heel that, you know, was kind of serious and whatnot. And then they totally killed him with 3MB. Like, come on, man. Like, that's the worst gimmick I've ever seen. Like, it's Mantar levels. Mantar levels.
It's a lack of charisma with these dudes, man.
Yeah, ain't no doubt.
No.
So, how do you feel about Tyson Kidd?
Tyson Kidd, that dude, he's good in the ring. He's, you know, obviously he trained with the Hards.
Right.
I don't know how you can't be good if you trained with them dudes, but I think he had an injury. That's why he was out for so long. But if you watch Raw this past week, he made his comeback. It was pretty good, man. Yeah,
I saw him on Raw. Like I said, you know, I watch Raw. Really, it's just on the TV while I'm doing other stuff, and I'll like tune in and then tune out during various segments. But I did catch him. And anytime I see Tyson Kidd on TV, man, he's a great technical wrestler. I just think that he's like You know, he's one of them Canadian dudes. He doesn't really have that natural charisma on the mic. Like, I don't think you'll ever see him as a top guy, no matter where he's wrestling at. But he's a guy who you could put in a tag team or you could put in an opening match that's gonna, you know, like get the crowd excited. Like, I feel like Tyson Kidd is like a great technical wrestler. Like you said, he's from the Hart family, so he's got that pedigree from the Stu Hart dungeon. But you know, he just doesn't. Another guy that just doesn't have the charisma.
You know what? I think his value is worth more than that. It's said that his wife is more than him. But they use his wife more. But I think at one point he could be a more impact on on TV and shit. I think they can push him.
Yeah, man. And another guy I want to talk about, Wade Barrett, because like if you remember Wade Barrett when he came in with the Nexus, like he come out, all those guys, they came right out of developmental or whatever and straight basically into the main event. And so Wade Barrett, when he came up, I thought he was a little green, but I thought he was good on the mic. I thought he had a good look, and like I legit hated him. So, but in a good way. Like I hated his character and like the way he was on TV. Not like get him off the screen, he's terrible. More just like, man, I hate this guy. Like, you know, he's doing his job. So I feel like Barrett could be a guy, could be another like not main event guy, but right up under that cusp. Almost like, I don't want to say a Jericho, but, you know, could be somewhere near like a Sheamus or something like that.
Well, all right. With Barrett, I think that's the type of dude they need to put the IC belt on. If you don't have it already, I'm not sure. Who is the belt right now, the IC belt?
Oh, man. The IC, see, I don't even know. All right, I knew The Miz had it at one point. Who does have the IC belt?
Is it Curtis Axel?
It might be. It's either Barrett or Curtis. I know Barrett had it. And it's probably, I think it is Curtis Axel, yeah.
Yeah, well, Barrett's one of those dudes that you're going to see pay his dues, go up and down with the pushes, and then just break through finally, I think.
Right, yeah, I think he is too. I think he'll be like a late bloomer. Kind of.
And that's good, though. I got more respect for people with that than the ones that get thrown in the spotlight. Somebody like Kofi Kingston, they need to throw it now. That's another dude, you know?
Well, what did you say now? How do you feel about Kofi?
I think he's ready. He's right. I believe he's ready now. He paid his dues, you know, to somehow get a title shot.
Yeah, I always thought Kofi was great in the ring. I just thought that they need to come up with maybe like a better gimmick for Kofi because like I think he's just like a really nice guy or something, man. Like he doesn't have like a mean streak to him, you know?
He needs a heel gimmick, and I think he's there, man.
They should turn Kofi heel, put him in the main event. Like he's money, man. He's great in the ring. You know, he's got a good look, and shit, he's athletic. He's everything you want. Like, his one flaw might be his promo skills, but once again, that's because, you know, nobody's let him really break loose. Like, he's just a cookie-cutter babyface, so he hasn't really had that chance.
You know what it is, man? Let's face it. Like, I think the only, like, now, there's no more territories left like there was in the 80s and 90s. You know, now it's the independent circuit. And a lot of these dudes, you know, they get... I feel like they're getting snatched up too quick from the independents and thrown into NXT and into the main roster, you know?
Right.
You got people like Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. They did the independent paying dues and shit, you know? That's why these dudes were, like, ready when they got there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of these other guys, you know, they're just thrown in there too quick, man. And you're going to see a lot of that. They think they're ready for the big time, and then, boom, they're buried.
Yeah, and you know, like you said, they've done a lot of that, man, where they just throw... Another guy that they did that with was, like, Mason Ryan. They threw him on TV, and he looked like a fake Batista. He just wasn't ready. They sent him back down.
That dude was... He was there for 2 weeks, and he was gone.
Gone. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, when you got a Daniel Bryan, you got a Punk, them dudes spent 10, 12 years wrestling in high school gyms. You know, they paid their dues, and, like, they worked their way up, but also... Like, them dudes were wrestling, you know, 60-minute Broadways like fucking Flair and Steamboat, like, back in the day. Like, you know, so they were ready for prime time, man. Like, the first time I saw Punk, because, you know, I didn't really follow him in the indies. Like, I knew who he was. But the first time I saw him was the night he came out, and, you know, it was when they relaunched ECW, and they brought him out, and he wrestled Just Incredible. And
Hammerstein, right?
Yeah, at the ballroom. He was instantly over. Like, people were ready to see him right then. So,
know what else I think it was? If I'm not mistaken, that was at the Hammerstein Ballroom. He was big in New York, Punk, before he got, you know, with Ring of Honor.
right?
Shit, before WWE. So that whole fan base that was at the Hammerstein, I'm sure that kind of popped. They popped when they seen him. Plus, he had that look of an original ECW guy.
Yeah, he looked like an ECW guy. So yeah. I always had like an affinity for Punk, man, because when I saw him, I was like, yo, I like this dude from the first moment I saw him. And then like, I don't know if you remember the ECW pay-per-view that the WWE did. Most people regard it as the worst pay-per-view of all time. It was called December to Dismember. You remember that?
That was the ECW WWE pay-per-view, right?
Right. I was there. It was in Augusta. They did it in Augusta. So I was there that night, and the main event for that was like an Elimination Chamber match. And I think it was like Bob Holly. I think Big Show was in it. Test. Punk was in it. Van Dam was in it. Sabu was supposed to be in it, and apparently he got in trouble that weekend for like smoking weed or something. So they beat him up like backstage, and then Bob Holly took his place. Well, anyway, man, it was the worst show that I've ever been to of any show in my life. And like the whole time I was there, I was thinking, yo, they gotta put the ECW belt on Punk tonight. Like I was thinking that's gonna save the show. If they put the belt on Punk, people are gonna go crazy. Well, they fucked up and they put the belt on Lashley, man, and like the arena was totally silent. Like it was dead in there. So and like everybody that was there, like, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, like I'm in a southern town, so everybody down here, they grew up watching the NWA, but there was like a lot of ECW fans that watched the original ECW and like knew about it, and like they were there. They thought they were gonna be watching like a Paul Heyman ECW. They had no idea, this was Vince McMahon's ECW, and it was abysmal, man. Like the only good match on that card was the Hardy Boys versus who was it? Fucking was it Mercury and Nitro? Johnny Nitro?
Was that the ladder match?
I don't know. It wasn't the ladder match. I know are you talking about the one where like Mercury busted his face all up?
It was out or some shit,
It wasn't that one. It was a good match though. Like it was a good like 25-minute tag match that just like had a lot of false finishes and shit. It was a really good match. And then like the rest of the card was just terrible. So I was thinking, yo, man, like Punk has got to come through and he's got to win. And I remember I read a Paul Heyman quote from that night that was like, they were going over the plans, and Paul Heyman was telling Vince, you need to put the belt on Punk. Vince was like, we're going to put it on Bobby Lashley. And Vince, or Paul Heyman told Vince, he said, if you go out there and you put that belt on Bobby Lashley, these people are going to throw that shit right back in your face. And Paul Heyman was right. He was absolutely right.
I was at the pay-per-view in 06, the One Night Stand.
Yeah.
Boom. That shit was wild. I mean, you could feel the tension in the crowd if Cena was to retain the title. Like,
right. So that was the one. That was the one where Van Dam was going up against Cena, right?
Yeah, that shit was. And, at that time, you would think like, all right, they're gonna do the right thing and bring back the real ECW, but then they dropped the ball, bro. It was a rabbit after
Man, they ruined it because like. All right, I remember the first One Night Stand in 2000. I think it was 2005, and then the second one in 2006.
Yeah,
both of those were awesome. Like
2005 was better though.
2005 was better, but I think was 06 the one you were there. Was that the one where they had Mick Foley go through the flaming table and shit?
Yeah, it was him and Edge versus Terry Funk and Dreamer.
And Dreamer, yeah. See, that was a great match. Like to me,
that match was incredible.
Those two matches, and I can't remember if it was the first one or the second one they had. It was Mike Awesome and Masato Tanaka.
That was the first one. That match was incredible.
Incredible. But both of those shows, man, like even the one that they did in 2006 that had a lot of WWE guys, like Randy Orton came out with the fucking pyro and shit, and people were booing him. And I thought that was great though, man, because like to me that was what it should have been. They should have. I didn't care that WWE guys were going to be on it or that Cena was going to be on it, whatever. As long as they kept it in that vein to where there was like hardcore guys, whatever. They just kept it extreme, man. Let Paul Heyman do his thing. And they could have used it as like a real like territory because they could have brought in all of the developmental guys that Paul Heyman had and just ran it like a developmental. And basically that's what they ended up doing on Sci-Fi, but it was like Vince McMahon developmental. Like they kicked Paul Heyman out and ruined it.
Yeah, like they brought in that kid Kevin Thorne. Who the fuck was it? Why bring him?
Oh, Kevin Thorne. Before he was Kevin Thorne, he had a gimmick as a dude named Mordecai. You remember Mordecai?
But no, I don't. Wait, Kevin Thorne, he had the vampire gimmick.
He was the vampire guy, but before that, they were running vignettes about him for like 3 months, right? And he was supposed to have this gimmick. It was basically like an Undertaker gimmick, except like instead of being in all black, he was in like all white, and he was like some type of like fallen angel. It was like almost like a Christopher Daniels mixed with the Undertaker gimmick or something.
Now that you said, I remember them running that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like they were saying that they were gonna have him feud with Taker or whatever. And then they took him off TV, threw him back in developmental, then brought him back as Kevin Thorne. And that's the thing, because I remember at the time, like, they were on Sci-Fi Channel. So Sci-Fi Channel was telling Vince and everybody, you know, we want more sci-fi based gimmicks. So they gave him the vampire, and then they brought out the Boogeyman.
And remember the fucking the zombie. What was the fuck?
Oh, who was the zombie on there? Because I remember him. I just don't remember who it was.
He was there for one night. Somebody actually, he was there for one night. That was it. I don't think they ever seen him again. They had some dude just come out like that in that costume or gimmick, whatever it was, and he was gone.
He was gone. Yeah, I don't even know who the zombie was, but I remember seeing him because they had the zombie, they had the Boogeyman, they had Kevin Thorne, and probably like a couple other gimmicks that we can't even like remember. But I know that they were trying to go for like a more sci-fi theme, and like to me, that was cool. Like honestly, like really. That was more in line with like what ECW was doing originally anyway, because like they had dudes like James Mitchell and the Sinister Minister when he had like Mikey Ripwreck and Tajiri and shit. So like that's what Kevin Thorne reminded me of, like when he had the vampire gimmick. I just didn't think he was like that good in the ring or whatever, but I thought he.
That's the thing. The gimmick was decent.
Right.
He was in the ring. They could have picked a better dude to play him. You know.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, because like the gimmick was dope. And another guy, like, I thought the Boogeyman was dope. I thought the Boogeyman was actually pretty good in the ring. Like,
his gimmick was cool, and he was good in the ring. I don't know what the deal was with that, why you let him go. But.
Well, I think it was because he was really old, because he was on Tough Enough, like, years ago, and, like, he lied about his age or something. Mm. And, like, he would tell, like, Al Snow, like, you can find a clip on YouTube, and they're like, are you 28? And he's like, I'm 28, or whatever, and Al Snow's like, well, we got your real driver's license, and it says you're 38 or whatever.
Wow.
And so, like, yeah, when they finally brought him in, he must have been like 41, or he was old by the time he got in. So he was a way late bloomer. But continuing on about guys that were buried and whatnot, I'm gonna try to wrap this up here in just a few, because we're going in about the 40-minute mark. Maybe we can go another 15 minutes. So, yeah, basically, I know you don't watch a lot of NXT. I don't either. But they got a lot of dudes from the indie scene that, we watch. So, what do you think about dudes like Cassius Ohno, formerly Chris Hero, Adrian Neville, formerly Pac, Sami Zayn, formerly El Generico, and Solomon Crowe, formerly Sami Callihan? You see any of those guys being brought up to the main roster?
First, though, Chris Hero, I think he's amazing in the ring. So, you know what I mean?
Me too.
I think they should have brought him in with what's his face, Claudio
Castagnoli, Antonio Cesaro.
Yeah, they should have brought them in together, because they were great as a tag team. If they wanted to bring back the tag team division, they need to bring them two dudes in together.
Yeah, I agree.
The second dude you mentioned, I never heard of him.
Yeah, it's a dude named Pac. He's from the UK, and like a couple dudes that I'm friends with over in the UK, they're like, yo, you got to see this guy Pac. And apparently Triple H is really high on him. They renamed him Adrian Neville. They gave him like a snobby like British gimmick, I guess. Like I haven't really seen him, but if you go on YouTube and you look up Adrian Neville Pac, it'll show you like all his moves and shit. And he's got like a really diverse moveset, man. Like I think you'll dig it. You'll dig his style in ring. He's a really good worker, but I'm not too familiar with him like on the mic or whatever. But
and then El Generico is a dude that I think is also ready. I seen him wrestle for years in an indie promotion out here called JAPW.
Right.
Dude, he don't have the build. As like you want to look at him and think he's a wrestler if you met him like at a bar or some shit, or somewhere.
Right.
But the dude is dope, and I think I don't know how he's gonna fare without the mask. I think the mask was part of that gimmick that made him so over with the crowd. But we'll see. Time will tell if he gets to the main roster. And then Sami Callihan is another good. I think he's a great talent, and I think those dudes are ready.
Yeah, I feel like they're ready too, man. Chris Hero is a dude that like they kind of like got on his case because like apparently they're like, oh, you need to work out or something, because they try to say he's like skinny fat or some shit like they say about Punk, like his physique isn't right or some shit. And I'm like, dude, who gives a shit, man? That dude works. He can work his ass off. He's good on the mic. He to me, Chris Hero is a dude that could be main eventing. Like, why the fuck is he in NXT? Like, he should be on Raw like every night, man. Like,
and like you said, he's great on the mic. He reminds me of Chris Jericho. I don't know. There's some similarities.
It's true. He does have a little bit of that Jericho in him, and Sami Zayn, El Generico. I know, wasn't he in like Chikara or some shit like that?
Who's that? El Generico?
Yeah, Generico.
Well, like I said, I mostly seen him wrestle live in JPW,
right,
and in Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
So he might have been in Chikara. I never been to one of their shows, but
yeah,
I've seen him mostly out here.
I think he was in Chikara because it would make sense because they have all those weird gimmicks, and like he had the luchador gimmick or whatever.
Yeah.
And he has a weird look. Like you said, he doesn't look like a wrestler. But if you watch him in the ring, man, like come on, he's already better than like 90% of the dudes on the main roster. So I don't know like what the gimmick is that they're going with in NXT. Like I said, I haven't seen it, so I don't know what they're doing with him. Honestly, they should have kept him as El Generico. They should have, but you know how it is. Vince always wants to.
I think that would have been the best bet. Instead of bringing in the El Matadors, I think they should have brought in El Generico.
That's what I thought. Like when they first said something about Los Matadors, I was like, yo, it must be El Generico with like somebody else or something.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that, obviously. And like, but once again, man, that's Vince McMahon. Like, he always wants to, like, if it's a good gimmick, he doesn't want to use it. He wants to create like a new fucking gimmick. Like, he's always done that. So I don't know, man. Do what?
The list that you just named of those guys, at least 3 of them, I can see them being like main eventers in a year, 2 years tops.
Yeah, easily, man. And like Sami Callihan is a dude that I haven't seen too much of. I saw him in CZW and like I think it was like a death match or something, and it was crazy. So
yeah, he's wild, man. He was actually there when I shot the No Holds Barred
okay
video. He was the champion at the PWS that night. He's good, man. He's dope talent for anybody who hasn't seen him yet. He's really fucking good.
Yeah, man. Callihan, like, he's a dude that a buddy of mine used to tell me about that was up in Philly that like saw a bunch of CZW shows and shit, and he was like, yo, man, you gotta see Sami Callihan. So I checked him out, and I saw him on a couple CZW shows. And like you said, he was in Pro Wrestling Syndicate. So I think he's a dude that you're gonna see on TV within the next year or so. But moving on, let's talk about some dudes that are on the indie scene that aren't in the WWE, that maybe you feel like should get a developmental deal or could be like on TV soon. Who do you see out there, that has a chance at that? Because I got a list right here if you want me to run it down, or if you got a name you want to throw out there.
Well, I kind of touched on it earlier. Definitely Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards.
Right.
Those guys, they're phenomenal in the ring. And then also the Briscoes. We were talking about them before.
Right.
They're dope, man.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. We were talking about Davey Richards and Edwards, and also, the Briscoes, man. The Briscoes, to me, are like the best tag team on the indies. Like, I don't think anybody is better than them, but I just think that, to me, WWE would ruin them, man. First of all, they wouldn't let them be the Briscoes because of not Pat, but, Gerald Briscoe and Jack Briscoe. So they probably would, like, change their gimmick up or something. But, like, man, them dudes right there, they would have fit in perfect in the Attitude Era. So
it's their whole style. It's just rugged and raw.
Yeah.
I mean, get shit out of you, and that's what I like about them, man.
I love them, man. Like, there's like redneck dudes, like work on a farm or some shit. I don't know, man, but they are dope as hell, man. I like to look at their little, they do like little like promos, like shoots almost on YouTube and shit. And I always click them because like I never know what the dudes are gonna say next, man. They trip me out. And another dude, I'm sure you're familiar with. Have you seen much of Kevin Steen?
One of my favorites, bro. That dude, what I like about him? He's not He's another one, not a typical, you know what I mean, like big bodybuilding and shit. But that dude, you know, he has heart. You can just tell he puts it out there every time he steps in the ring. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's a worker, man, and so like that's what everybody tells me about him, and that's what I've seen from him. So I think he's a dude that like should be in WWE. But you know, honestly, he might be the type of guy that they overlook, kind of like they did Samoa Joe, because I always felt like Joe could have been a major player in WWE. Really, I think Joe's time's passed. I don't think you'll ever.
He's done. You know, I think he, you know, like you said, I think his time's passed. He's past his prime. I think Samoa Joe.
Yeah, definitely. And another.
He's up to near 30 now. I think he was almost 30 years old.
Yeah. Steen is definitely. I mean, Steen's been around for a while. Like I heard about Steen probably 5 or 6 years ago. And like
they just put the belt on him last year, so you know what I mean. He paid his dues, man.
Right. So he's the Ring of Honor champion, right?
I don't know about currently, but the last time I went to the ROH shows, he was there with the belt.
Yeah. So I think Steen is a dude that you'll see either in developmental or you know, to me, he's a guy that they could bring in like right off of the street, man, and just put him on the show. Like I think he's ready.
Him and the other dudes that you mentioned, I don't think they even need to go to developmental. I don't know why, you know, like you said, like Cassius Ohno's there. They need to bring him to the roster, like, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Another guy that I feel like, you know, obviously I don't think WWE will ever sign this dude, because the dude I'm about to mention, because he's in the kind of same category as Evan Bourne or Justin Gabriel, but I really dig his style, and he was in TNA for a little bit. A dude that I saw named Jack Evans. You ever seen Jack Evans wrestle?
Jack Evans, I see. He was with Teddy Hart now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack Evans, to me, man, like, I don't know if you remember a wrestler who wrestled in WCW in the Cruiserweight division briefly. His name was Blitzkrieg. Do you remember Blitzkrieg?
Yeah.
Blitzkrieg apparently trained Jack Evans. And so, like, when I first saw Jack, I didn't know that Blitzkrieg trained him, but I saw him do a move that I remember as a kid seeing Blitzkrieg do on Nitro. So I was like, holy shit, he's doing the Blitzkrieg. And then like I read up on him, and it was like he was trained by Blitzkrieg. And I was like, oh, man. Like, so...
Yeah, I don't know Blitzkrieg. It don't sound familiar. But I definitely know who Jack Evans is. And that's another dude, you know? Like, these are the dudes that, right now, who we just mentioned and talked about, these are the dudes that been through the indie circuit.
Right.
New territories and shit. And those are the ones that they should be putting on TV.
Right.
Except for these guys, you know, instead they put these guys that they see at a gym or fucking, you know, wherever, and they throw them on TV with a 6-month developmental deal.
Yeah.
Like, backwards, man.
It's Vince's love with the fucking bodybuilder shit, man. But back to Blitzkrieg, you said you didn't really know who he was. I don't even think he wrestles anymore. He wrestled during the Monday Night Wars. He was in WCW maybe for like 6 months or like a year. Like he had maybe like 6 or 7 matches in the Cruiserweight division, but you can find him on YouTube, like against like Juventud and dudes like that. But he's a high flyer. He was a dude that I was always surprised, like never made it in WWE, like especially back in that time when they had like cruiserweights. They were bringing in guys like Ultimo Dragon and shit like that. So like I was surprised he never made it there. But I think Jack Evans is a dude that has the potential to get there, even as like an enhancement guy, like a jobber. I mean, just because he will come out and just put his fucking life on the line, man. Like that dude's got some talent. And another guy that I think should be in the WWE, and I'm surprised that he's not, and he was at one point, as Scotty Goldman, was Colt Cabana. How you feel about Cabana?
Cabana, let's say, like, if you're looking for like a great comedy match, that's the dude, and I think that's an element missing, you know,
right?
Those comedy matches, you know, but he's good. He's definitely a good talent, and I don't know why he's overlooked.
Yeah, I don't either. Especially, you know, I figured after Punk mentioned him in the Pipe Bomb promo,
that was big. I think they would have brought him in for that.
Yeah, right. I was thinking, man, Cabana is going to be on here like next week or something. Like they're going to bring him in, but they never did.
Yeah.
And like I heard a rumor that he auditioned to be like a commentator or something. So the rumor is they might bring him in as a commentator. But to me, like that's a waste because Cabana is a guy, like obviously they put all this stock in somebody like a Santino And Cabana is 1,000 times more entertaining than Santino could ever be.
Yeah, no, he is. And I think him and Santino would have a good program running together.
They would have a great match together. And, like, to me, like, Santino, I don't know if you remember, but before he had the comedy gimmick, I think he was down in, like, OVW or some shit with Paul Heyman. And he was like his name was like Boris Kozlov or something. And he was like a fucking, like, an MMA gimmick. Because apparently, Santino's like a legit badass in real life, man. Like, he's like a black belt in, like, judo or some shit. But, yeah, like, but they don't, you know, obviously they don't put that on TV. They don't let people know that. They just run him as a comedy guy. But for a good comedy match, I don't think you could get any better than Colt Cabana. Like, you could put Colt in there with anybody, and he's a great promo guy, man. He's funny. Like, he's legit funny. And I thought that they really wasted him when they gave him the Scotty Goldman, like, you know, stereotypical Jewish everyman gimmick. Like, they should have just let him come in as Colt Cabana and do his thing, man, because he's a good talent.
He's definitely a good talent, very overlooked. Like you said, you know, he's good on the mic too. So
yeah, definitely. But yeah, man, we're gonna wrap this up right here. We're gonna close the show out. We started the show off with the No Holds Barred, the original version, and we're gonna close it out with the remix version. So, Ballantine, man, I just want to say peace to you. Thanks for coming on the show, talking some WWE, talking some wrestling with me, man. And I'm gonna try to get you back on at some point, man, and we'll do it all again, brother.
No doubt, man. Thanks for having me up, and yo, good luck getting on that remix, man. Shit's going on my project, so you know what I mean.
Oh hell yeah, man! Like really, man. I wish that like I could have been there, you know, from when y'all did the original video. Anybody that is a wrestling fan, look up the No Holds Barred music video on YouTube. I'll try to like link it in this podcast somehow, but yo, like, that video was so dope, man. And, like, really, if I could have got up there, man, even if I wasn't on that version of the song, I would have just loved to fucking been in the ring, like, kicking it, man. I dug that shit, so good looks.
I appreciate that. But yeah, man, yo, good looks for having me on, brother. And, you know, good luck with the show. I know you just started this, right?
Yeah, just started it, man. I'm trying to get, like I told you, Brodus Clay said he was going to come on, so I might get you to submit some questions and shit like that once I iron it out with him. But I talked to Brodus Clay. He wanted to come on. I talked to Scott Norton, who was in the NWO. He wanted to come on. So we'll see what happens, man. I'm going to try to get some people like X-Pac or somebody, you know, somebody that like I really dug growing up to come on. So we'll see what happens, man. But, yeah, I appreciate you coming on. And, you know, you're welcome on the show anytime, homie.
No doubt, man. Thank you. Appreciate that. And I appreciate you having me on, brother.
No doubt, man. You hold it down.
All right, peace, kid.
All right, peace.
And so that's it for this week, ladies and gentlemen. You know, we got some other big guests coming on in the future weeks. Riddick Big Daddy Bo's going to be on the show. And Brodus Clay told me he was going to come on the show. So I'm still trying to set that up. Scott Norton from NWO, WCW, New Japan Pro Wrestling fame. He said he was going to come on the show. So I'm still trying to line all this stuff up. But I think the next episode that you'll hear of the Mark Deez podcast, the Mark Deez Word Show, will be with Clive Craven. We're going to talk, you know, just about his music and things like that. So stay tuned next week. Clive Craven will be on, and we'll keep it moving. Keep it locked right here. The Mark Deez Word Show podcast. And we're going to ride out tonight with the remix to No Holds Barred, which I'm on. So closing the show with that. And here we go. We're going to spin that shit. Peace, y'all. Have a good one. Yeah, No Holds Barred remix.
So here we go. No holds barred.
There's no disqualifications. There are no countouts. Balls count anywhere.
No holds barred. Come on. If you wanna ball, no holds barred. No holds barred. Cause all you're gonna get is your ass kicked. No holds barred. Slam it like iron sheet.
This is not gonna be a wrestling match. Don't expect a wrestling match. This will even be a street fight.
Rock the whole industry in a headlock. I put the best to a dead stop. Follow up with an elbow smash, a leg drop. I got a clip, but I'm knocked down with X-Pac. Shut down any arena or sweatbox. For the Guatemalan dreadlock, take your best shot. I'm Big Boss Man, an ultimate warrior. This ain't backyard wrestling, we do it on corners. One man gang who take your aorta. Bum Russians
Got the fans amped, while they not my name they chant. King of the ring, do my thing, leaving foes scarred. Anything goes, this is no holds barred. Where the competition at, how you crew the test. On this mic I call you out like Goldberg, and like who's next? Kick to the midsection, then a suplex. Tombstone pilot drive, I'll break this fool's neck. Call up with the figure four, your leg crushes. I run this, the kid's a franchise like Shane Douglas. It's on with a power bomb, we rock greater. My heart punch drop haters, call me Ox Baker. Throw him in the torture rack, snap his back in half. My goons start the demolition axe and smash. Catch you with a cross, station hands, tap the mat, stand back with the hammer, bang bang like Cactus Jack.
Come on, if you wanna pour. Cause all you're gonna get is your ass kicked. No holds barred. Slam it like
Anytime I enter the ring, I bring the pain. Steamroll competition, move out way. Here for the belts, eye on the goal. No love lost, take it to friend or foe. By all means necessary, will be champion. Respect my reign, I'll bring havoc to the building. Off the top ropes, elbow to the throat. Chair shot to the dome, lights out for the show. Apply submission hold until the snapping of bones. Animal on team, bell ring, lose control. One man record machine, leave my stamp. Every arena knows my name, start a chant. No matter what match I'm in, I'm gon' win. Win against the green, no pressure, do it again. Action speaks louder than words, so come to the square circle so I can bash your face in.
Come on, if you wanna pour. Cause all you're gonna get is your ass kicked. No holds barred.
Yeah.
Slam it like iron shit.
My heel turn, gonna race the fate. On the mic, I recite like Jake the Snake. I'm like Bobby Heenan, Freddie Blassie. I'm deadly with the medley, I'm pressing a classic. Jimmy Snooker from the top of the cage. I'm rocking with rage and concoction, but starting to play. My veins move the blood, a Terry Funk handle slam with the pump. Chunks is getting dumped. Power driver like Jerry the King. I'm very extreme like Paul Heyman starting his dreams. I'm like Chris Jericho versus Rey Mysterio. Coming through your stereo, we do it so ethereal. Scissor kick like Booker T, look at me. Rooks wanna hook with me, I put them to their knees. I'm like Undertaker at WrestleMania. You too weak to beat the streak, my team taming ya.